Hey everybody, Qroo here. Welcome to the channel. In today's video, I'm going to be covering a Spanish construction that I find quite useful, and that is seguir plus the gerund, or gerundio, if you prefer the Spanish word. It means to keep doing something or continue doing something. Sigo trabajando. I keep working. María sigue pensando en lo que pasó ayer. Maria keeps thinking about what happened yesterday. For you folks who don't know what the gerund is, you're just not familiar with that term, that's the ing ending on verbs in English, working, thinking, and the ando or yendo ending in Spanish, hablando, speaking, escribiendo, writing. Seguir by itself means to follow, and it's used just like it is in English. Mi perro me sigue a todas partes. My dog follows me everywhere. Gracias por seguir mi canal. Thank you for following my channel. Another useful expression with seguir is to follow instructions. Seguir instrucciones. You might want to put that on your word list. I've talked about this before, that it's really useful not just to have an isolated word, but also have other ways that you can use it, like seguir, to follow, seguir instrucciones, to follow instructions, seguir plus the gerund, to keep doing something. See? And that's where we're at now. I usually use this construction, seguir plus the gerund, in the present tense. So let's go ahead and look at the conjugations of seguir, because it is an irregular verb. So here they are. Sigo, sigues, sigue, seguimos, and siguen. Conjugations are always presented in that same order. That's why I don't have to start with yo sigo, tú sigues. They're always going to be in that order. And some of you may point out, hey, Paul, I don't see the vosotros form in there. I don't use the vosotros form, so I don't teach the vosotros form. You vosotros fans can, well, stick that in there. If you're ever unsure how to conjugate something, just go to wordreference.com, look up the verb you're interested in, and you're going to see a button here on top that says conjugación. Just click that and you're going to see the verb conjugated in every possible form. Super great site for that. Okay, let's start to play with this construction a little bit. I'm going to be saying the sentence in English, and I'm going to pause for just a moment so you can spit out the answer in Spanish, if you choose to, before I give you the translation. All right? The children keep playing. Los niños siguen jugando. The women keep singing. Las mujeres siguen cantando. I want to keep working. Quiero seguir trabajando. Did I throw you off a little bit with that one because seguir was not conjugated? Hopefully not. You know, I'm a big fan of starting sentences with like, I want to do something, and then just dropping in infinitives or in conjugated verbs, or can I, like puedo, and dropping in infinitives. So that's going to continue. Just because we're using the gerund, that doesn't change. Now the gerund part doesn't go back to the infinitive, but the seguir does. Quiero seguir trabajando. I want to keep working. ¿Quieres seguir trabajando? Do you want to keep working? ¿Quieres seguir hablando? Do you want to keep talking? I think this is a useful construction with the verb querer. Maybe you just want to put that on your word list too, you know, and practice it. Here's another one for you to translate. It's going to be longer. I keep thinking I should move to Mexico. Sigo pensando que debería mudarme a México. I think this is a really useful sentence starter. Sigo pensando que, I keep thinking that, and I've talked about this in other videos, when you're trying to reach conversational level in Spanish, it's good to have, you know, fragments of sentences, and they allow you to just think for a second to think of the rest of your sentence. You can even pause a bit. Sigo pensando que debería mudarme a México. See, that sounds natural, it's fine. So when I was learning Spanish, on my word list, I would have sigo pensando que, to keep thinking that, okay. And then right under it, sigo pensando en, to keep thinking about. Now, about in Spanish is usually sobre, acerca de, or de, but in this case, with pensar, it's en. To think about something is pensar en algo. So when the preposition doesn't match English well, you really want to make sure that you put it that way on your word list. So try to translate this one. I keep thinking about you. Sigo pensando en ti. I keep thinking about the concert. Sigo pensando en el concierto. Here's a longer one for you to translate. I keep thinking about what you said yesterday. Sigo pensando en lo que dijiste ayer. So did you get that one? Did you put the lo que in there? For you folks who are not familiar with lo que in Spanish, it is a must learn. It's not particularly difficult to learn, but once you actually get it and you start working it in, it's going to propel your Spanish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a couple links to videos that I did about lo que. They're going to be in the description section of this video for folks who are interested. Here's the same sentence with a very slight change. I keep thinking about what you did yesterday. That one should be easy since we just did the last one, right? Sigo pensando en lo que hiciste ayer. If you could do that one, you can probably do this one. Do you keep thinking about what happened yesterday? ¿Sigues pensando en lo que pasó ayer? Or you might have had, ¿sigues pensando en lo que sucedió ayer? It's not too hard, right? All right, now let's talk about using the gerund with pronominal verbs, and that's the ones with the reflexive pronoun attached. Again, don't get all freaked out about the English grammatical terms. The reason I spit them out is for those folks who do kind of like want to learn more about something, and you're like, oh, how do I look it up? Pronominal verbs. Oh, I'll type that in. That's why I do it. Here are some pronominal verbs. Quejarse, to complain. Lavarse, to wash oneself. Dormirse, to fall asleep. Now, dormir is to sleep. Dormirse is to fall asleep. People often refer to all of these verbs as reflexive verbs, which is not accurate. All reflexive verbs in Spanish are pronominal verbs, but not all pronominal verbs are reflexive verbs. Here's an example of what I mean. Lavarse, to wash oneself. That's reflexive, right? The action is being done to the same subject. Well, quejarse is not reflexive, right? You're not complaining to yourself or about yourself. And with lavarse, you can have lavar, to wash, or lavarse, to wash oneself. But with quejarse, it's just quejarse. So quejarse is pronominal, but it's not reflexive. That's just a grammatical distinction that's not really important in the grand scheme of things, except for some of you folks who are like really detail-oriented. So, all right, let's move on with our lesson. See if you can translate this one. Why do you keep complaining? ¿Por qué sigues quejándote? So let's take a look at that. We have our pronominal verb, right? Which we have to do something with that te. So if it was just present tense, you know, we'd have me quejo, I complain. Te quejas, you complain. But here, we had to figure out where to put that te. Well, we can attach it right to the gerund. I love that. You just stick it right on there. It follows a word order that's very similar to English. Makes it super easy. Now, you may have noticed that there's a little accent mark that appeared. Take a look at quejándote. See the little accent over the A? That's going to show up anytime we put a reflexive pronoun on here or an indirect or direct object pronoun, which I'm going to talk about before the end of the lesson. So that reflexive pronoun has to agree with who you're talking about. So if somebody's like, why do you keep complaining? ¿Por qué sigues quejándote? And I'm like, I keep complaining? How would I translate that? See if you can do that one. I'll wait. Sigo quejándome? Did you get that one? Did you remember to put the me on there? Still an accent over the A. That's only important for you people that are going to be writing Spanish and not just speaking it. Piece of cake, right? So what would this look like if we had an ER or IR verb? And when I say that, talking about the verb ends in either ER or IR. So see if you can do this one. Maria keeps falling asleep. María sigue durmiéndose. This one might have thrown you off because there is a spelling change in the root, right? Durmiéndose. And that's not because we stuck, you know, the reflexive pronoun on the end. It has nothing to do with that. It's just dormir is irregular in the gerund. So sorry about that, folks. But what I really want to point out is where that accent mark is going to go. See, it's right over that E. The sun popped out behind me, so I had to reposition the camera here. Let's talk a little bit about quejarse again. Like I said, it's always good to learn the preposition with it. And if you want to complain about something, you're going to use de. Quejarse de. To complain about whatever. So see if you can translate this one. Why do you keep complaining about everything? I'm giving you a lot of stuff you could use in an argument, aren't I? ¿Por qué sigues quejándote de todo? I think it helps when you say it with that kind of emphasis. So you get the hang of this, you kind of see how this is going to work with your pronominal verbs, feeling good about it. Now I just want to tell you that that te can also go before the conjugated verb. You could say, ¿por qué te sigues quejando de todo? But I really like it just attached, you know, I just think it's easier. ¿Por qué sigues quejándote de todo? It follows the English word order, it's just easier. Let's talk briefly about direct and indirect object pronouns. I mentioned it before. They are going to work the exact same way. You can just stick them right onto the gerund. Piece of cake, right? Maria keeps supporting you in your decisions. I'll wait a second. See if you want to take a stab at that one, or are you giving up on these things, or what? Maria sigue apoyándote en tus decisiones. We popped on our te. We remember to stick an accent over that A. This stuff's just getting easier. How about this one? The dog keeps following me everywhere. I don't know why I'm pointing as if there's some imaginary dog there. El perro sigue siguiéndome a todas partes. Or you might have said a todos lados. Either one's fine. I like that one because we're using seguir twice, right? Sigue siguiéndome. How about this one? Let's say we're talking about Spanish. El español. It's a masculine noun, right? How would you translate this? I keep practicing it every day. It is referring to Spanish. Sigo practicándolo todos los días. Did you get that? Man, this stuff's easy. Seguir plus the gerund is a super useful construction, and whenever I want to translate to keep doing something, this is the one I use. But for you folks who love alternatives, you could use continuar plus the gerund, to continue plus the gerund. I don't like it. The reason I don't like it is because I don't think it's the easiest word to say for English speakers. You've got a lot of vowels in there, and one of them is a U, which is going to be a hard U, right? So you have continuar. There's a lot of mouth movement there. And once you actually conjugate it and stick it in the phrase, it's easy to trip over this thing. So you're like, continuo practicando, or you could just say, sigo practicando. Wow, that was easy. I'm sticking with that one. Well, that's it for the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, just do me a favor and give it a thumbs up. And until next time, hasta luego.